Better Daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Thursday. It is Word Thursday, and the word today is garden. I'm really excited to share some meditations on this word with you today. So, big question. Do you keep a garden? And what does that look like or mean to you? Because gardens can be all shapes and sizes. In fact, the dictionary definition of the term garden is a space set aside for cultivation and the enjoyment of nature. Or at least that's our modern definition. If you rewind and you go back through all of, what we have written and recorded, back in the Hebrew, in Genesis, we know of one of the most famous and special gardens, the Garden of Eden, right? And the garden, Eden, means well-watered place. Good morning, Pat. Thanks for joining me this morning. So gardens are really interesting. Even if you're not into gardening, I think there's something here for you because here in Better Daily, we attend to the mind, the body, and the spirit. And today I'd like to talk a bit about some of the activities and actions that gardening has in relationship to us being good stewards of our own mind, body, and spirit. So we garden here. I'm an amateur gardener at best, okay? You're probably not going to get any quick tips from Alex to really 10x your tomato growth here. I might know a thing or two to be dangerous. My mom's a much better gardener than I am, and she's here in the Better Daily community. So if you have gardening questions, I will direct you to my mom. If she doesn't know them, she probably has a book that has the information in it that you seek. But that said, gardening's a lot of fun, and we like to keep a garden. We've done so with varying degrees of success in our young family, and partially because my wife and I enjoy it, partially because it's a great teaching opportunity for our boys, and partially because we enjoy homegrown produce. We do. It tastes a little different when you had to put a lot of love and effort into it yourself. And so this is our fourth iteration of a garden here in Arkansas. We tilled the ground, we worked really hard, and broke ground and stuff, and then we planted, and then the grass took over everything. And then another year we got it just right, and then the squash bugs wiped us out. And so that was a lot of fun. What we've done this year is we've built a little section of our the back corner of our yard and put a fence around it, because we do have 10 chickens, and chickens, if you plant seedlings and stuff, they'll just dig them right up. Like, ooh, worms, that's great. And you're like, my plants, what have you done? And so we've got a fence and stuff, and we're growing tomatoes, and we're growing beans, and we're growing cucumbers and blackberries and okra and peppers. And so I'll take a picture of that and put that in the comments, just so what I have to say about gardening, I have a little bit of proof that I'm both an amateur gardener and that I'm not just blowing smoke. But this word is a very interesting word, because the garden has some properties that a lot of people miss. So one thing I want to point out to you is an often misunderstood passage in the biblical narrative, particularly in Genesis, is that work started because Eve messed up. And they would call that the fall, the original sin. She ate the apple and gave it to Adam. It wasn't really the apple, it was the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so then, God is like, hey, you were able to live in a garden where everything was taken care of for you. Now you're going to have to be outside of the garden. You're going to have to till the ground. It will bear thorns and thistles to you. It'll be very hard work, right? And so a lot of people think that work came about because man messed up. But if you actually rewind further back in Genesis, when God first makes man, he tasks him with tending the garden and everything therein. I don't know if you've kept a garden. That is hard work. That is work. He also says, and name all the animals. Tend the garden and name the animals. Like, have you hung out in the woods for like 10 minutes? There's a lot of animals to name, all right? So Adam has work. It's good work. He's in the garden. He has everything he could ever want within his four walls or whatever. But He's got work. And that's something that's interesting about our mind, bodies, and spirits. Even if what's inside of us is a well-tended garden, it still is going to take work every single day. And that's what we do in our little plot of land out here. Every single day we've got to water it if it hasn't rained. It's crazy how God can do 10 to 15 minute rain shower and water your plants in a way that you couldn't for a whole week. Right. And then your garden's like, woo, real watering, and you're there with your little hose or sprinkler or whatever. So you got to water it. You got to weed it, right? If you want your tomatoes grow, you have to, oh my gosh, you have to tend these plants. Tomato worms here in Arkansas, they're like snakes, man. They're huge. We found one yesterday eating the top of our tomato plant. We fed them to the chickens. That's very satisfying, by the way. Take that, you crazy tomato worm. Blah. They're big, green, ugly things with a horn on them. Apparently they're a larva for a very large, beautiful moth, but we don't want it at the expense of our tomato plants. We threw that sucker to the chickens. So you got to tend the plants and keep them growing and keep pests away from them and whatnot. And then there's this other weird thing. You have to keep the walls in place. There's another really interesting characteristic of the Garden of Eden, and that is that the garden has walls. When Adam and Eve mess up and they get kicked out of the garden, they can't get back in because the garden has walls. And we have walls. We have little walls around our garden to keep the chickens out, and Bennett, our 3-year-old, he's like, I got a weed, Mom. And he's got the whole okra plant in his hand, all happy because he got the root out. Like, no, not that weed. That's a plant, man. So we got walls, right? And, well, Eden had walls, and it kept things out that were supposed to be out, kept things in that were supposed to be in. And we need walls. We need parameters. We human beings need parameters, just like our gardens do, in order to allow us to grow, in order to give us the space, as the definition says, the space that can be cultivated and enjoyed. And those walls are the things that here in Better Daily, what we're doing from an exercise and nutrition perspective, maybe some habits that you're doing for your mindset and your spiritual growth. Those walls, like here's a wall. I go to church on Sunday. That's a wall. What do you mean that's a wall? I mean, you could do anything else on a Sunday morning, but you've decided you're going to spend time with your faith community. And that's powerful and important for you. Another wall might be, I don't eat after 7 p.m. That's a wall. Or maybe I consume 150 grams of protein. I deal with my protein at the very beginning of every one of my meals before I worry about whether or not I need some extra carbs and fats in my life. That's a wall. These are all walls that we build in order to keep our gardens well tended. And you could think of them as parameters, you can think of them as boundaries, but they are a requirement for a garden. If we tore down our fence and we tore down our area, our parameters around our garden, the forest behind our house would engulf it and overtake it, and that would be, years after the chickens annihilated it. The garden can only exist because of walls. You can only grow and cultivate and enjoy something on purpose because of walls. And the last thing about gardens that's really interesting is even in the definition of gardens that we use today, it says a space consciously set aside for cultivation and enjoyment. Consciously set aside. A garden is a conscious endeavor. Not only is it work, not only does it have to be regularly tended, not only does it need walls, but it's a conscious endeavor. You did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. And my question is, and something to reflect on, like I said, I'm an amateur gardener at best. This is not me preaching at you, but my question is, how is your garden on the inside? How's your mind? How's your body? How's your spirit? How's your garden on the inside? Is it well tended? Are there some weeds that are growing that need to be pulled right at the root? Feels so good to get it at the root, doesn't it? Is there some places in you that need to be watered? They're dead, they're dying, they're arid, they're brittle, they're not growing, and they need to be watered. And is there some pests, maybe some walls that need to be built and some pests that need to be thrown out? How's your garden? This is very, very important to me because in my family and my life, yes, we enjoy gardening. Like I said, I'm an amateur gardener at best. I want to teach my children this stuff. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the produce and stuff. But I also want my boys to learn what it means to be conscious and hardworking with smart, strong boundaries for themselves so that they have a place within themselves that they can enjoy. They have a place within themselves that is well tended, is taken care of. They can have difficult conversations because they're firm and solid on the inside. Their garden's well tended. They can pursue things in life that are hard and important and noteworthy because they're well tended. And perhaps sometimes they can invite other people into their garden to show them a thing or two. I'm stretching the metaphor a little far. But those are my meditations on the word garden for Word Thursday. I don't think it was a mistake that in the book of Genesis, God's chosen environment for human beings was a garden. And in a lot of ways, we've been working really hard ever since to build something comparable. Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. My best to you in tending your garden, whether it is real tomatoes or if we're talking about something a little more on the inside. Tomorrow is Flex Friday, and until then, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for your 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.